This is TMUA question of the day 27 with startmaths.com and Tobin Payne. So our A-Level Plus question today is introducing a symbol that has a specific definition that you wouldn't typically see in A-Level, and then trying to apply that binary operation and essentially do that binary operation twice. So you get definitions in TMUA quite a bit that you'd be, either unfamiliar with or are just completely made up. And so this is just good practice at reading the notation. Shouldn't be a problem really, but just be careful and make sure you've understood the notation correctly. These kind of simultaneous equation questions, sometimes you don't need to find the individual values. So if it was to say ask for something like x plus y, you might not necessarily need x and y separately. You might just be trying to find x plus y, and you can do that via some clever way. For example, if I was trying to find x plus y, I could just add that to that, and then I'd have 2x plus 2y equals 3. And so I found x plus y without finding either x or y. But here, because they've gone for the product of x, y, z, you are going to have to find them individually unless you started trying to multiply equations together, which will get very, very messy. So given that you do have to find each value, just be careful. Usually, in fact, always, these questions are highly contrived so that there is the, long way of performing the algebra, or there is a bit of a shortcut. And this is our functions and algebra question. So see if you can stop and think about the most efficient way to approach this algebraically before you end up neck deep in algebra. Our geometry question. So another senior maths challenge question, which you're unlikely to see something exactly like this in TMUA, as I've said before, but the skills required to do these questions are very, very useful. Again, anything with a circle, it's worth drawing radii in at points of interest. Usually those points of interest are tangents or where a circle touches something else. So we can see here, it might be worth drawing a radius here, here, here. If we were to say this radius is x, this radius is y, what could we then? Could we start to make some equations? Often, with these kind of questions, if you're given, say, the side length of the square, which you are in this case, then finding the length of the diagonal is quite useful. So remember, a diagonal is the distance between two adjacent vertices. So this is our diagonal in this case. And just try and get comfortable with drawing in some radii, making some equations, and using some triangle ratios. And you'll see that there's root 2's in all of these, so you expect that root 2 to come from some sort of triangle, Pythagoras ratio, etc. But these ones are hard, so just give it time, and again, try not to get neck deep in algebra. Try and focus on the geometry. Right, so our logic one, and this is the kind of question that some people, and Tobin is one of those, can do in almost an instant, and I always have to do it very formally. So I'll kind of label these. It's annoying that they've got 3 of them kind of start with an A. 2 of them do start with an A, so I'm going to say D. Then we've got Athos. Then we've got Porthos, and then Aramis. And what I do is I kind of say, well, let's imagine, situation 1 is that D is telling the truth, which means exactly one person is lying. And then see if you reach a contradiction. Because if one person is telling the truth, who is it? I mean, Porthos and Aramis contradict each other straight away. So situation 1 is we start off by saying this person is telling the truth. Situation 2, we could start off with this person's telling the truth and see what else happens. Then can we say whether someone else is definitely lying or definitely telling the truth? And it's interesting in this question that 2 of the options are each 2 numbers. And so we're not necessarily expecting it to be definitely 3 or definitely 2, etc. But I find, for me, this is the only way I can be confident I'm doing these correctly is by really formalising it with a table. Hope this video was helpful. As usual, any feedback appreciated.